Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party, and my buddy Rhett. Here we go. Here's her. She's very eager this morning because she's getting another M&M. I think I'm tangled up over here, though. Let's see. There we go. I noticed yesterday my voice didn't come out across very well because I had the microphone over here and it doesn't come in as well as when the microphone's right there. So that is interesting. I think I kind of had a good idea of that, but not really. So yesterday I was working on basically my intention was to set up a like a website. I mean to push my code to a website, and then fortunately I decided I was going to do a commit first, and then I did a commit, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to push it, and then when I did my push, I found out that it doesn't like Git GitHub won't allow any files that are greater than 100 megs. And it's like a lot of times when people are like, okay, how long is it going to take to get something done? There's these little details like that that end up kind of making it almost impossible to to um, reason about, like, yeah, or to tell them, because you just don't know. Like, was there some sort of change in the way that repos work? Is there some, like, I don't know. You just don't know everything. So, and then those little things are the kind of things that sort of get done in the heat of war, and then like no one even remembers that was ever an issue. Um, so this whole thing of getting this thing deployed, A, because I'm not like super motivated to get it deployed, but and updated. I mean, I'm enjoying the project; it's a fun project. But B, also, um, it's hard, or um, B, I want to capture those sorts of things. I want to be able to say in the future when someone says, "Hey, I want to get this deployed out," and I can go, "Oh, yeah, well, there's, one of the issues might be like we may have files that are too big to check into Git and all that. So, we might have to have a better project or come up with a different idea." I've worked in plenty of places that have like really huge files that they want to check into source control, like where you'll find a lot of them is like in GeoJSON and stuff like that. But anyways, yeah. So there's that. The other thing that came up was very interesting is in the API, this little exclamation mark showed up. And so then we came down here and we saw that there's this new thing called phrases. And phrases is an interesting kind of idea. The idea is that you give it an array of these objects. I can't remember what kind of objects they are. And what it does is it gives those objects a little bit more weight than they would. So like if you said, oh, I would like to try some of this and I would like to try some of that. And you made that like okay, this is what I think. And you made that like a heavier weight. And then if someone said, I would like to try some of this and I would like to try some of that, it would know, okay, they mean we're looking for this and that, not this and that. Um, because a lot of people pronounce this as dis. A lot of people pronounce that as dat with a like a DAT. But um, but like it is technically feasible that that could end up messing up if someone said, "Hey, this is my friend this and that, and we're looking for this and that," and it won't. It gives heavier weight to this and that. Like there's just no telling. These are my friends this and that. That one person's name is DIS and the other one is DAT. Like that's just the kind of thing that you do. So, anyways, when we looked at phrases, we saw that the array has like the phrase itself. I think it's actually called phrase, and another thing called boost. And to me, that is automatically like kind of a red flag that okay, we see something that's probably not going to make it to the spec. And I think because the word boost isn't quite precise enough for to make a final spec, but it might already be in the spec. It would be interesting to ask ChatGPT about that. And I think we had already started sort of a thread on that. So let's see. See, SFTP was interesting because I wanted to. So I added like an FTP, another project. I added an FTP um, server within the project, so you could spin up an FTP server, and then you could interact with it, and it's actually in the project. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do the same thing for SFTP. You would think that would be just as easy. Actually, I don't even think it's feasible to do. I actually had to, like, I created an issue in my other project, and I actually had to say, I don't think this is feasible. I'm going to have to pass on this one and actually just use a real SFTP server for that, which is kind of a bummer. But anyways, phrases, property, and web API. That's what we were talking about yesterday. So I'm going to say, okay, is boost. Let's see. So that's where we decided we were gonna. I decided, okay, I need to resize my video because it's smaller, and then I realized, oh wait, when I upload to YouTube, it automatically processes it, and one of the things is it optimizes it for size, and I was like, oh, I could just use that one. It literally was like 5-8% of the original size. That would actually be fun to really dig into. There's so many fun things in technology. Um, and just, so in here, it was telling me how to use it. It really went overboard on, yes, come on. Okay, yeah. See, phrase and boost are what we do. And is the word boost in the W3C spec? Let's see if it's actually in the spec. Not that they couldn't change it. Okay, so it is in the spec. So I was wrong about that. So publish, then, oh, what? What the heck does it think I meant? Yes, the word is present in the spec for the web hosted at GitHub as part of speech recognition constructor property. Okay. So when they say spec here, they mean the actual code, which obviously it isn't the actual code. I swear, sometimes. Um, Caveat, the underlying spec appears to be community draft. The web speech API get rather than formally published with W3C. See, I don't think it'll make the formally published. So if by you mean the published W3C recommendation, then no, yet. But if okay, so okay, so to me, it seems unlikely that that word will make the formal spec. Um, it seems like a great word, a good word, but it feels a bit imprecise. I don't know how to spell imprecise. I reverse the C and the S. Yeah, that's very sharp. I'm such a sharp observation. And you're right to be skeptical. I wouldn't say skeptical. Informal tone, but it's a little too colloquial. Okay, that's a good way for most W3C. W3 usually favor language like mathematically precise. Yeah, weight. I could see weight. I could definitely see bias. I could definitely see confidence adjustment. Um, comes from the machine learn. Okay, so this is what I was very curious about. Okay, so in machine learning, that word is common speech recognition and models to boost certain phrases and tokens. But when that term reaches the standard stage, editors will probably formalize it as something like weight, probability modifier. That, yeah, confidence bias. Yep, recognition, hint, weight. So your instinct matches the patterns we've seen in specs. Early drafts use practical developer terms. So um, it looks like someone or some team is actively working on this since the property, just appeared this week on my browser. Exactly. That's a very good catch, and you're almost certainly right. When a new property phrase suddenly appears in the web speech API, because implementation team at Google, Apple, or Microsoft is testing or prototyping a new feature in the engine, like the Chromium speech recognition module. The property is behind a flag or a stage rollout, meaning some users get it as part of an experiment. The term shows up before the spec is updated, since the implementation often leads to spec writing process. And I will say that, my very first 2 years in my career, I worked as a systems engineer, and my primary job was to write software specifications. And I know that software specifications sort of come in two flavors. One flavor is like what they would call or used to call forward chaining. That's like, okay, this is what we need, and then we're going to write the specifications to do that. And some of them are backwards chaining. It's like, this is what we have, and we're going to work backwards from what we have and describe what we have, and that's the new spec. Um, so this appears like we're going to do like a little bounce back and forth. They're going to say, "Oh, boost," and then someone's going to say, "Okay, this is a good thing. We like it. We like how it works." It probably won't even work for me, because while they have exposed the actual property, they probably have not actually exposed the actual behavior, would be my guess. And I have a couple of ideas of things I want to work on once this tool is done, which should be very shortly. And um, this wouldn't be helpful in either of those cases, as far as I can predict. So now, if it was like, let's say a year from now, it was something that I was like, oh, you know what, I think this boost might work, or maybe something changes in the way things work right now, and they're like, oh, you should use boost, or you should use phrases. They probably won't even call it phrases either. But you should use that, and it'll probably have other attributes. Probably be something beyond weight, and like it'll probably grow, but it looks like they're going to build it out and get it all working, and then sort of work backwards, and then they'll probably tweak some of the verbiage in the actual words, and then it'll go forward and they'll update that. And I think this spec is going to sort of bounce back and forth. And it is good to know that it appears that the people who are working on this come from sort of a machine learning background, and that they likely work at Google, Microsoft, or said one other thing. Oh, Apple. So it's probably employees that are currently employed by Google, Apple, or Microsoft that are working on this. It would be interesting to see if so. Boost is not something I hear every day, and if I do hear it, in the rare times I do hear it, it's something that I don't really. It's not about this, It'd be like, oh, give her a boost, to pick her up or something like that. Um, so, um, so boost is an interesting word that I rarely hear here. Um, here in Georgia. Can we make any guesses as to where the people that are working on this live? You're picking on something linguistically relevant. And I will say that this is literally the first time I've ever put my sort of interest in my understanding of linguistics to an actual practical use. Um, the word choice in spec and code comments often reflects where customers are from, specifically before editors normalize language. Here's what can be inferred about the use of the words. Boost is more common in North American tech vernacular, especially the US West Coast, than in British or Commonwealth English. So, as you see it a lot in AI, ML marketing, and gaming circles, boost accuracy, boost signal. Okay, so it also comes from gaming a lot. So, and it wouldn't surprise me. This seems like a very powerful thing for gaming. I think it could make games that much more fun to be able to, on top of using your fingers and your mouse and all that stuff, to actually also say like, uh, front camera, back camera, blah blah blah, and it do stuff that would be pretty cool. And also, it could make for some interesting games where like people are in the same room um and if like one person says it, then it does something, but if two people say it at the exact same time, it does something else. Like college football in the United States is a lot of fun because they have a lot of those sorts of traditions where it's like, oh, when this event happens on the field, we all do this chant. When that event happens on the field, we all do that chant. And then you start feeling like this amazing experience where you're all um, in sync with each other. And then next thing you know, you just literally feel like a sense of love and companionship with the people next to you who you've never met before and who you'll never see again. But you had that moment with each other because you guys were all uttering the same sort of thing at the same time. I could see that. Like it's just like, okay, you guys get, if eight of you are in the room at the same time and you say these words at the same time, you get extra points or whatever. But anyways, let's go back to this. Boost within the Chromium Google ecosystem. Boost appears frequently in developer comments in APIs, e.g., Boost Hint, Boost Confidence. So developer comments in the API. The web speech API is primarily made by contributors from Google Speech. Okay, so it looks like this is something that's Google. And accessibility. Okay, so that's the other group that would truly be, from an accessibility perspective, this is an absolute game changer for so many people. Like probably in the United States alone, probably tens of millions of people would benefit greatly if they could use their voice to navigate. So California, Mountain View, or Seattle area, with some collaborators in Zurich. So linguistically and organizationally speaking, the appearance of Boost suggests it's very likely being prototyped by Google Chromium Speech Recognition Group, not a European or W3 editorial suite. You're right that Google and much of the Southeast Boost. Okay, you're right that in Google and much of the Southeast Boost is used, but more context like booster shot, boost your car, not an abstract program AI turd. In contrast, West Coast engineers use it freely for conceptual and statistical increases. If I check the Chromium commit logs, I could probably pinpoint the region. Yeah, that would be awesome. And I want to make it clear that that is why I have this warning, right? Like I have a warning here because just using a word gives them a tremendous amount of information. And I don't know who them are, but gives whoever is in the cloud a tremendous amount of information about you and your background, your strengths, your weaknesses, all kinds of stuff um, gets communicated by the word choices and the inflections and the way you talk. So the way you speak. Whether you, like I said, the way you talk, that probably says a lot about me instead of the way you speak. Um, oh, I should have hit enter, so that could have been processing while I went on my little rant there. A specific year that gives the location, property, field, space. Here's a summary of what I found and what remains is certain experimental. We know that it's a floating point number. Yeah. There's a bug tracker, dictation support, online speech recognition issue mentioning on-device speech recognition behind a flag in Chromium. I found no immediate public commit that says added speech with author or region information. At least it's easily searched as part of the repository. Okay, so it sounds like this is very likely from like Seattle. Uh, would be the best guess. So it sounds like the best guess is Seattle. Seattle. And I do have another question after this one. Yes, that was a very plausible guess. Yeah, so it sounds like somebody in Seattle or a team in Seattle is working on this actively this as we speak. So that is good to know. And then uh, this feature seemed to be aimed more at accessibility, the gaming, social networks, or what was the other thing it talked about? Or machine learning. I'm very curious what it, based on the way it's designed, this feature seems mostly closely aligned with the accessibility and machine learning with a secondary application in gaming or social networking. Here's why. Okay, so I do think this is good news. Accessibility is the primary target. I do think that that is where it can do the most good. And I like the fact that it seems like we're trying to do like we're trying to do the most good with this technology. There's a lot of good things going on in the world. There's a lot of bad things going on in the world, and I like the fact that this appears to be one of the good things, and allows developer to bias recognition towards specific word commands, which is extremely useful for voice-driven interfaces. Users who rely on speech input benefit more. Yeah, so that's good. And on-device recognition is particularly important for accessibility because it works offline and preserves priority. See, I feel like this is probably the reason for this is probably for military stuff. Okay, so machine learning boost is direct. So yeah, just because of the way they're doing it, it seems like it's machine learning people. So it appears that these are people driving it, and then these are people building it. Um, okay, so now that leads me to another question. My guess is that process locally is for military purposes. That's an interesting hypothesis. See, I like it when I hate when ChatGPT says the word theory to me because like a theory means that like this is what we believe and we've got a lot of evidence to follow that. And this is a lot of people who are really smart looked at this and this is the best we can come up with at this moment. Hypothesis is just like a stab in the dark. And Let's break down. Process loading does forces to happen entirely in the user's device rather than setting to audio. This improves privacy, latency, capability, essentially decouples voice recognition from network depending. Why military and high security centers of care. Military defense systems often require strict operational security. No sensitive audio can leave the device. That is probably right. Remote. They also need to be able to go around. Um, on device models. So I would guess that this is probably something that someone from the Pentagon or whatever called the people in Seattle and said, "Hey, we can't have this going to a cloud. When we say stuff, we need to make sure that that stays local." Um, civilian, I do think that that is true. Like all of this stuff is true. It's basically saying, "Hey, it's good for people too," but I don't think people have that kind of pull. It is possible though. The accessibility does make sense to me. Like if you need like let's say you're in a wheelchair, you can't move your eyes, your hands or anything, and you want to be like left, right, left. You don't want to have to be connected to the cloud to be able to move your wheelchair. Um, I agree. I disagree. I think the primary driver is clearly, I believe, is the military, not general purpose. But I do think the primary beneficiary will be accessibility. So there's probably, if the military calls up, if the Pentagon or Washington D.C. calls up and says, "Hey, we want to be able to process this locally," they're not going to. The folks over in Seattle aren't going to drag their feet. They're going to do it. All right, so let's get back to business. So we have two things going on here. One is we want to deploy to the, um, okay, so this is good, to our Angular speech analyzer. And I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant again. I apologize, but I will say that this is so much easier, right? Like this, right? This is going to be so much easier because I literally just need to run this command and it'll be updated. This is going to be harder because I'm going to have to build it and then FTP it out to here to get it. Now it's nice because it's going to be very easy to see if we succeeded, because we should actually get a video when we do that. Um, and it will be nice that we'll be able to, but it's kind of a bummer that we don't have like end-to-end tests that I can just run and make sure everything works. So we're gonna have to do like some testing just to make sure everything still works. Probably before, it's probably best to actually do the testing before too. So let's do this. Hello world. Okay, so that is working. Hello world, how are you? Right, that's working. Oops, that's working. Oops. Uh, Crap, that's working. Great, that's working. That's working. Oh. So yeah, the this I think would be helped if that raises thing works. Um, yeah, let's make sure this guy still works. Hello world. Okay, that works. Hello world, how are you? I am fine. Okay, so that's still working. At least we know that the code still works. Who knows if it works on Edge? It probably works on Edge. But this is going to be 10 times easier to do, I think, than this. The, Deploying it out to there is going to be more difficult than deploying it to here. Now, I would bet $500 right now that a year from today, this will still work. I would not bet a nickel that this will still work a year from today. It wouldn't surprise me if there's so many dependency. It wouldn't surprise me if there's some small change that causes this not to work. And it'll be, if we do, like, let's say I'm working on my other project. I'm like, oh man, I would like to see how phrases works or this new thing works or whatever. I um, will probably, it'll be the easiest thing will be for me to update this code, right? Come back, start this project again, get this project going, and make some tweaks so that I can do it. Um, and then when I try to build it out here, there's a very good chance that won't work. When I try to build it here, I would say 100%, a 99.9% chance that it'll work. It'd be so unlikely that something SFTP is changed or something like that. It's possible. It's possible that like DreamHost will change something. But anyway, so I believe the way this works, and it wouldn't surprise me if um, I'm watching this video in a year, um, so that I can remember how to do this. I believe I say npm run gh deploy. Now, just to be clear, I don't think you need it. I don't believe you need to have it committed to make this work. I think this will work whether you have it committed or not. I think as long as the code is there. If I remember, this takes like a minute or something like that to do. All right, so it's building. And I do want to capture this on camera. So if I need to come back in a year and see how I did this, I have this video to refer to. Here we go. I don't know. I feel like when I did it last time, it was a bit more verbose. Like it gave me a little bit better feedback. And I kind of would like to go like and spawn another. Oh, here we go. We got building. Um, Spawn another terminal and run my iBuild just to save time. Um, but I'm not. At this point, I just don't think it's in my best interest or in anyone's best interest to build out settings, update the settings to support phrases. Um, I just don't see the point. I don't think I want to use phrases in any of the. So there's two applications I want to do. One is I'm absolutely fascinated by the fact that like people are so configured. There we go. Um, by things like our language and the way we set up our language and all that. And so I would love to do like a like I was saying, like you'd say hello, and it kind of gives like a formal hello, like a morning hello, an afternoon, like different kinds of hellos, and you can try them all out, and you can kind of read a little bit about them. I think that that would be a really cool application. And then the other one is Flashcard Builder. So cleaning, fetching, origin, checking out, GH, pages, removing all files, copying files, adding, committing, and pushing. Successfully published. Have a nice day. That's good stuff. Thank you. Thank you very much, Google team, Angular team, or whoever built out this CLI GH pages. You guys, you rock. All right. So now let's see. I don't have my code. I don't have the tools open, so I don't know if it's gonna recache or not. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go like this, and I'm gonna go over here. How to use? Oh, and it did. It didn't. Somehow it knew not to cache that, and I guess we should test. Oh no, video is not working. Does it work on my local? I thought it was working on the local. Yeah, so it works local. There's something going on here. Inspect. Every every time. Failed to load resource. What is this? 404. So could not find this. So it's not getting it from, it's not trying to get it from the right place, I don't think. And I think it's trying to get it off of continuous. Let's see. Yeah, so I think it's supposed to be in public, not off of the not off of the root. I think it's supposed to. So this is where it's trying to get it from. But I want it. I believe I want it to be from public. And we can see here where it lives. Oh, that's weird. So, okay, that's really weird. I actually don't even know what to think of that. Okay, so I believe it's in public. No? Where is it over here? Let's see. F12. So it's getting it off of, well, oh wow, so it is getting it off of the root. Hmm. So I'm guessing there's like some sort of configuration I need to do. I'm very curious if I'm going to have the same issue. PM run iBuild. I bet you there's some sort of configuration that you set up to tell it to tell it where to move specific files that are in your public. Because something, for some reason, it does seem to be moving that out of public and right onto the root. I think it'll be, oh well, oh yeah, it's kind of silly. I should have looked in my dist folder. Oh, see, actually, it did put it right there. Okay, so it built it out and it actually moved it onto the root for me. Let me see. I don't know what I should do here. I think I'm gonna get my FTP up. So I use FileZilla. I don't know when this started taking forever to come up, but it does. All right, so I'm off screen right now, actively working on my ilikeemail.com main, not that one. I don't think. Maybe that is the right one. All right, so I'm going to connect to ilikeemail.com. And it's connecting via SSH. And now I'm in here. And basically, I want to take my old one. Now, what often do is I'll actually like delete it. I mean, I'll create a new directory, and then inside of DreamHost, I'll point to a new directory. I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to delete everything inside of ilikeemail.com. So it just deleted everything. I hope no one's actively using it right now. I just can't imagine it, but someone might be. That would be a bummer if they are. Hope I don't. Oh, you know what though? I deleted the htaccess file too. Actually, so I think it's not going to work without that. And to be honest with you, I'm glad I did that because it'll be easier to remember. Okay, so I have uploaded the new one and now it's not even there. And I screwed up and I uploaded the wrong thing. So I actually deleted even what I deleted was here. So now I got a real mess. And then I actually put the whole darn all the files there, so that's why we're seeing this weird stuff. Let's see. F12. If I hit reload, yeah, see it's very, very confused. So now I'm going to delete this. And in my, I think, see the problem is that it has this status thing where it tells you a bunch of useful information like what the username and stuff like that is. Yeah, definitely. So I don't really want to expose that. All right, so now I need to go into I have an I like email folder locally, and I'm gonna update that, upload that. And this, okay, so Yeah, this is so much harder. Okay, but now I don't have anything here. So now I need to come in here and I believe I need to, yeah, I need to manually create a new folder. So I'm right clicking on it and I'm saying create. And I'm mostly saying this for me in the future. Voice. And then I'm going to go into navigate into voice. And I have an HT access file that I'm going to upload. And that I have in my I like email folder that's specifically for this. Now I've uploaded it. It shouldn't make any difference because HTX, because well, it actually is showing that, which it normally doesn't. So now I'm going to go into the browser folder that got built out, and I'm going to upload this. And now, here we go. And now let's see if that works over here. Actually, I'm very curious. Did I actually upload? Okay, so the how to use MP4 is right there. So let's see what happens. Yep, and it is working. Well, no, it's not working. I'm curious where it tried to get that from. Looks like I'm going to be trying to figure this out next week. Okay, so it tried to get it off of ilikeemail.com. If you look here, I'll click in there instead of um, off of my root voice, and I'm assuming that probably happened here too. Let's reload, inspect. Man, it is just crazy how like nothing. It just this always happens. Always, 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 always happening. I'm guessing it's trying to get it off of off of Marty the party. And so I don't know. This might be the fix for this. Maybe like in my code, like the way I reference it. That probably is the fix. But how to use? Let's look at here. Preview, and I don't know what that's all about either. That it tried to get something from there. See, it's trying to get it off of the root. Now there could be some HTML that I can do. I'm probably not going to do it today though. Yeah, see, I have this like off of this is what that means is off of the root. I think what I need to do is have it like this. I think that would fix the problem. Let's just do this, save, and just make sure that that still works locally. Because I don't know if it's going to try to get it off of API now. Okay, so it still works. I will actually want to look at the code just to make sure that it is what I believe it is. Because I can't tell you how many times it like actually didn't update. Okay, so I just got rid of that and now it tried to get it off of whatever we're sitting on. I do not know if this is going to work. I think it will for this guy because of the HD access. So I think the HD access will force it to come off of voice instead of off of API. And then I do not know about this one. Like, I don't know if it's going to try to get it off of like a continuous folder, or if it will know that did that it goes there. And then if that is the case, if it like tries to get it off of the continuous, oh my God, I have no idea how we're going to fix that because that's all abstracted away in um, that's all abstracted away inside of this guy here. So, but we do have this base rest thing. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to work or not. But anyways, that is a good thing for next week. Fortunately, we have this here. Um, I'm 99. sure I'm not going to so update the code to deal with phrases. I may change my mind between now and then, but now next week. But hopefully next week it's just a matter of committing, pushing, and building out this change here, and then running these, and hopefully it just works everywhere. I just don't know. I don't think it's going to work for this guy here, and I don't know what we're going to do about that. But we'll see. Maybe not. Maybe it will work. But you can see right now that there is a problem right over here because it does try to get something from continuous. It does make a call for this URL and it doesn't find it. And then somehow then it goes and tells for some reason, but it doesn't seem to break anything. It just causes the Angular router still catches it. So there's definitely something wrong over here, but it isn't a problem in the actual operation as far as I can tell, which, I don't know. I don't want to turn into, like, I would rather just get rid of this whole thing than spend 3 months trying to figure out how to get that to work properly. Um, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I might, maybe I can, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I don't think this is gonna, I think the fix will fix for this guy, but I don't think it'll, because that HT access takes requests and then automatically feeds it back to the index. I don't know what's going on over here. It makes a request here and then somehow for some reason it doesn't leave. And so since it doesn't leave, it it ends up um, letting the Angular router, still execute without anything breaking. Um, so I don't know. I don't know what to think. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.